Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We are going to give it just one more minute and just to see if others are hopping on, just to give everybody a chance to join in, and then we'll get started. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining today. Welcome. My name is Garrett Fuller. I am one of the regional sales managers at Foundation, and today we are going to talk about automating your certified payroll with Foundation software. Now, Foundation, I'll give a quick splash. You've seen me already, but again, thanks for jumping on. Here is a rundown of what Foundation software entails. Now, we do a lot. We are at our heart a job cost accounting solution that does extremely well with payroll. We offer project management solutions, safety solutions. We offer mobile applications, but we've been doing 40 years of construction accounting. And obviously today we're going to talk about certified payroll as first and foremost. And sorry, didn't know I had it on a auto, so I'm going to go back. So what we're going to focus on from the big picture is the certified payroll piece, right? So I'll pause this here. Automating certified payroll, right? So that's going to come for Davis-Bacon projects. If you're a union contractor or non-union contractor trying to automate your certified payroll, we'll automate pay rates, multi-state payroll, again, multi-rate fringes. We can automate the fringes with reduction factors. A lot of our clients are labor intensive. We also have clients that are general contractors, but small to mid-sized contractors, labor intensive, typically a great fit for Foundation. Want to mention Foundation is secure. It can be accessed anywhere. It's a cloud solution. Data that is sensitive is encrypted. As I mentioned, we offer mobile applications for time entry, clocking in, out, form and entry, custom forms in the field. So that'll help when we talk about automating certified payroll, just having data pushed directly from the field if we choose to do that, to avoid manual entry, of course. One really nice part about Foundation as a whole, as a company, I believe we're the only one in our space in the industry that has all direct support, all direct training. So for anybody that uses Foundation that needs help, they are talking directly to one of our support reps from our company, not an outside party. And the same goes for implementations. That is all direct through us. No outsourced consulting firms necessary. It can all be done directly with our company. Last quick point, Foundation does a great job getting primarily everything in one solution, from job costing, accounting, project management, mobile solutions, but we still do integrate with other third-party industry applications. Easy example, third-party estimating solutions, right? Where we can import estimates directly to our jobs to kick things off directly off the bat. So that being said, we're going to jump in. I did want to mention a couple of housekeeping items. Everybody is obviously muted, so feel free to ask questions in the GoToMeeting control panel. You can ask questions and put notes there. I'll do my best to answer those throughout the overview, and at the end, I'll make time to make sure I answer. We do send out a recording of the overview, so that'll come later. All right, so I'm going to jump into the core solution, and in Foundation at the very top, that's our base package. Okay, so everybody that has Foundation at least has that. And a lot of our clients come off QuickBooks, off-the-shelf solutions for key reasons that I just mentioned. Maybe they've outgrown it. They want something construction specific. They need better job costing, WIP reports, variance reports. What we're going to talk about today, primarily certified payroll, multi-state payroll, union payroll, helping with fringes, construction billings, AIA, time and material, basic contract billings, retainage management, change orders, purchase orders, subcontracts. So just in our base system alone, we really do capture a lot. We do offer optional items for our clients, which is somewhat in the center of the screen. I mentioned we offer some other tools for safety, HR, mobile solutions. So there are some solutions we have that are not directly in the core application, but they're all integrated. But you can see here we do offer heavy equipment tracking, inventory management. Some of our clients have a service department. A lot of our clients obviously have large commercial projects, but some also do some very quick jobs or have maybe a good mix of both. And we have a dispatch board and some good solutions for that. So again, there are some other solutions here that are very effective. And we'll touch on some highlights after we run through the payroll. But that being said, let's start off. I want to put a job in the system and note how some of these features are going to help with the certified payroll. And then we're going to jump right in, put some time in the system, process the payroll, take a look at some certified payroll reports. So we have shortcuts on the left-hand side of the screen. And so I have an option just to jump right into jobs. So just a quick point, each user can create as many of these as they want. I have one with my favorite reports, which these are essentially just drop and drag, right? So just as an example, I'm pulling over a field there to navigate things a little bit faster. And again, those are specific to each user. When a person logs into Foundation, another important aspect to bring up is their security, right? So you only can see what you should see, do what you're allowed to do. You can even have somebody get into payroll, but maybe they can't see executives in the company, or maybe somebody can put in time cards, but they can't see pay rates. So there's a lot of options in the security. So again, I'm going to jump into a project and we're going to set up a new job together. And actually for time, what I'll do, I'm just going to pull up an existing job and I'm going to point out a couple key fields here. So now this wouldn't necessarily help with our payroll, but I'm still going to touch on it. So you can attach obviously the customer to the project, project manager, geographic regions. These can be counties, cities, any area that you'd like to define. Job type, we call that a project class. Is it a government job? Is it commercial? Is it public, municipal? Is it a school, a hospital? You create any category you'd want. And the value for all of these fields here that I'm emphasizing, you can run job cost reports by any of these. I can not only run job reports by job, I can run job cost reports by customer, by job type, location of projects. The PM field also establishes project manager security. So in this case, if Jeff Baines logs in the program, maybe Jeff only has access to his projects and some other specifics for that user. Now, specific for payroll, we want to put the tax location for the job. A lot of states obviously just have state tax, right? So we do update tax tables automatically. We do about 4 to 5 updates a year across our products. Payroll is obviously one of the main areas that's constantly being updated for, again, tax table changes, SUTA limits, new certified payroll formats that are required, W-2 changes, etc. But we want to put the location of the job. Now, if you're just in one state, great. But if you have multi-state payroll, excellent. So the way that that'll work, the system will typically, if preferred, which is normal, it'll tax where the employee's working, right, at the job location. So if they're bouncing around between different, maybe in and out of state, that's fine. A lot of our clients do have city or local taxes. So like, I'm in the Cleveland area. So, maybe I'm working in Cleveland, one job, and I go to another city like Akron, Ohio, right? And it knows to calculate both localities, maybe even look at my employee record for any residence tax or school tax or any add-on. So it does also look at the employee record for any other overrides, right? So again, tax tables updated automatically. So when certified payroll is needed, you check the box. Okay, it's simple as that. Now there's more setup that I can mention here, and I will, but just getting that box checked is emphasizing, yes, this project is certified payroll related. Does it technically hurt anything if you don't need certified payroll for that job? Not really, but I'm going to indicate that here. Now there's a union tab, not that anybody has to remember that today, because good mix of union, non-union clients on Foundation. Now on a Davis-Bacon project, prevailing wage, certified payroll, we would want to attach a rate table to the project if we need the job's rates to be the driving factor, which is often the case. So these rate tables can be called whatever you want them to be called. Those are set up in our payroll module. A lot of people might just call it the job name or a county. And on those prevailing wage tables, you're essentially listing out your classifications, right? Laborer, maybe $50 an hour. Foreman, $60 an hour. Operator, maybe $55 an hour. So those are custom. You can have as many as you want. But that way, if I'm a laborer on this job, maybe I'm getting $50 an hour. Looks like I'm trying to see if the screen's moving. Huh. So it looks like the screen isn't moving, which is strange. Sharing should be active. Okay, hopefully. Looks like it is now. Thank you, guys. So I appreciate that. And sorry. So here, let me step back just a second. Not far. Me giving you a recap on the key features of Foundation on a slide is great, but here in our job center, I do want to pull this up again, just going back into that project, just to show those key fields on a regarding certified payroll and just in general. So here we have our mentioned before, customer, project manager, location of jobs, job type. So again, these are fields that we can use to run reports later, which is obviously one of the key things people need in Foundation is getting job costing data back out of the software, right? So I can run job reports by any of these variables, WIP reports or otherwise. So again, noting that tax location, which again, tax tables are updated automatically. We want to put that location on the job, whether it's a city or a state. And again, multi-state, multi-city tax is very typical for our client base to handle. So as I mentioned before, certified payroll, there's the checkbox, right? That's going to indicate that that job is going to require certified payroll. Now, and this is where I was sitting, we have this rate table, right, for prevailing wage. And as I said earlier, we do set up the software with each client, lots of training, setup, testing. So these are things that you would be walked through together and you learn it just like anything else. But these override rate tables, once we attach that to the job, that's what's telling the system what rates to pay the employee for that project, right? So if I'm a laborer on that job, maybe I'm getting, again, $50 an hour. Maybe on another prevailing wage job, I'm gonna get $55 an hour as a laborer. Maybe if I'm a foreman one day, I get $60 an hour. So the job is gonna be the key factor in what rates are gonna be paid to the employee based on the classification that they're working in, unless the employee's base rate is higher, right? So if it's a higher rate, it will pull the higher rate, which would be, typically the prevailing wage rate, unless the employee rate is actually higher. So that's a very typical thing. Very similar concept that knows how much the fringe is for the project, right? So we also have an identifying factor, say, what are the fringe rates for this job by trade? So even if you had 50 employees that are all laborers and it's a $10 cash fringe, well, it'll know per person how much to back out or deduct from that fringe, because we can set up each person's fringe reductions or benefits, right, that you're paying on their behalf. So I can set that fringe rate up once per trade, and it knows individually how much to deduct back out of that based on benefits that you're already paying them. And that could be benefits going to, that can be going to a third-party benefit plan, that fringe, or to the employee in cash. Okay. So you can also, on a job not specific to payroll, obviously put an estimate on the job, right? And we'll pop into the couple job cost reports here shortly. So I'm going to put a time card in the system, okay? And then we'll run some reports, of course, after we get some time coded to the project. Now, there's different time card layouts, more of a matter of preference. Now, this is not our mobile app, which we do have, okay? And we can import from third-party mobile apps. This is just me, in a manual sense, just putting a time card in the system. And I wanted to do that first so I can show how these rates kick in automatically and other defaults would trigger. So I'm going to have this person, Rick, he's going to work on maybe a couple jobs. Now, I'm using cost codes in Foundation. So a lot of our clients do use cost codes. Those are like activities. Some people call them phase codes. So, maybe some people have, underground utility, drywall, whatever tasks are being performed on the job. Now, when we budget a job, we can identify what the cost codes are, right? So that way, when somebody's doing entry, they only can select the appropriate budgeted cost codes for that job. Now, a lot of people don't use cost codes. They might just track the classics. They just want to put the job in and then want to run reports and see labor for the job, hours, materials, subcontracts, et cetera, right? So you don't have to use that level of detail, but I am, because later on, I'm going to run reports and be able to see by job the estimated and actual labor by not only job, but by cost code, okay? Now, another very nice aspect of doing payroll through a Foundation or good construction accounting solution, we can run job reports and not only see the labor and the hours, but the burden. right? So your FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, fringes, general liability insurance, we hit the job with the full dollar going from payroll, not just the gross wages, but again, the employer's share of that overhead. So now I just did an easy 8 hours a day. You can absolutely have a person working on 5 jobs a day, multiple cost codes in a given day. That's completely situational per company, right? I'm gonna hit okay, and we're gonna see these rates pop in. Now, these were just sample rates, right? But these are 2 prevailing wage jobs that I had the employee working on. Now this person, Rick, my play employee here, I have him set up at $10 an hour intentionally just so I can remember. So when Rick's on this job, he's getting $19.50. When Rick went to this other job, he's getting $17.50. Those are the prevailing wage rates. Now Rick is a electrician. That's his default from his employee record. So these are those classifications, which are totally up to you. They're unlimited, alphanumeric. Now, if I said on this second day he was actually a foreman, notice how the rate zeroes out, and it's gonna select potentially something different, which it did, because as he went from a laborer to a foreman, the rates changed. Maybe the fringe changed, right? So we just have to get the raw data there, the job, hours, and let the system do its work that we've taken care of in the back end. Now, if Rick's pay rate on his employee record was $60 an hour, that would have come in for every row because that's higher than the prevailing wage rate, right? And then it's also going to calculate the fringe automatically. Now you can choose different. I have just straight time or regular wages as by default. You could do reimbursements, mileage, vacation. We can convert overtime automatically based on overtime rules, whether that's 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. You could have Saturday, Sunday rules for double time. Couple real quick comments. You can have workers' comp maybe triggered by the cost code. If they're doing demolition versus site preparation, maybe that's a different workers' comp class and a different rate. The tax tables came in automatically, right? So again, multi-state, multi-city, any of that is completely accommodated through the program. Now, I'm going to save that. What we would end up doing, right, for brief steps on the payroll, right? We'd run a list. We can see all the time cards, that we've put in the system and processed. For our users on our mobile app, it shows the same. This would just still show all the time card data. It looks the same here, whether we manually entered it or pushed from our mobile application. If it came from our mobile application or not, I can still click on a time card to make a revision, to edit that time, okay? Now, once we've proofed everything and we're comfortable with all the data for payroll, we can run a number of what we call pre-check registers, okay? So I think right around 15, I didn't have a lot of employees keyed in right now, but if you have 500 employees, you're gonna see 500 employees. If you got 20, you're gonna see 20. This is one of the main pre-check registers showing total net pay, gross pay, taxable wages, deductions, just a kind of the big picture feel of, does this look correct? But I can run any and all of these other pre-check reports. So these are all reports that we can see the data before it's going to actually finalize and post, to the rest of the system. What's going to hit the general ledger? What's calculating for garnishments and deductions? What's calculating for union deductions and fringes? We do a fantastic job with union reporting, having the tables for deductions and fringes, which I can obviously emphasize that in further discussions. So once we prove everything, we can finalize it by just doing any checks and or direct deposits directly from the system. So, obviously paper checks is fine. We do create the ACH notcha file to export for direct deposit to upload to the bank. So most people probably do the ACH direct deposit payments directly from the system, which is fine. But if you do need any hard checks, that's great, no problem. Or if you're doing direct deposits but need to do a layoff check on the fly, you absolutely can. So, the value so far, job costing is huge, right? Labor, hours, burden, that's in job costing, and I'll poke into there in a minute. But for the obviously discussion at hand, reports. So when I hit reports, there's a lot of reports in our payroll module, of course, because it's necessary. We have 401k reporting. There's our certifieds, which I'm going to jump into here in a sec. Minority compliance, workers' comp reporting. There's ACA reporting, time off, PTO management through foundation, 941s, right? Obviously, even if you weren't a construction company, you could use us for payroll, but that's obviously not our client base because they're all contractors. State tax, unemployment. So we have like electronic uploads for the various states, union reporting. But again, for certified payroll, we have here electronic and then printed. I'll click on printed first. This would be the more traditional, at least from an old school concept, the most traditional. So I believe we have every format that exists. My default is the federal form, the WH-347. So now when I say it's this easy, it is. You run the report, right? It's all there. The data pushes into the right fields, or the actual layouts that are required as far as the, each format of the different reports, signature sheets and all of that information. So it all auto populates. They're there. You can pull them up retroactive. The time spent in the beginning in the setup is just getting it all set up to be this, magical. But again, there are different options, right? So if somebody needs to run, there's different California, as you see as I'm scrolling down, Connecticut, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota has a whole bunch, Jersey, Ohio, yeah, right? So all of the ones that exist, they're there. You just pick the one you need, and it's going to create that report. Okay. Now, another common option, more so now than in the past, is these electronic, as we call it, where people have to go online and like type in their certified payroll data, which you wouldn't have to do anymore, right? So I'm going to do, like, there's AASHTO, there's California DIR for people that are in California that need that, EMARS, LCP Trackers, a very common one that a lot of our clients utilize. So again, if that's something required, you come in, you pick that format, and it's really just creating the file for you, right? So I don't have to really do anything special, right? I'd run the report just so I can see the data that's going to be kicked out to upload to LCP Tracker. But the key thing there is I don't manually have to go enter anything into LCP Tracker. I upload the file that we create. So, but again, we show you reports. You can, make sure it looks, the data is accurate. And if it's not, we can go correct the payroll, whatever was wrong. But I would hit post, right? And that's creating that file. So wherever I save that file, it's now able to be uploaded directly to LCP Tracker, right? Close that. So that would be automating that. Again, if you're a union contractor, you've got your deduction and fringe reports, wonderful. That'll automate. We can see all of our deductions, fringes, hours that the employee worked for that specific local. It gives you a summary of deductions and fringes due for the union that period or month. So again, that's another really key piece for a lot of our clients. But as I mentioned, not only just automating the rates, the fringes, multi-state, multi-city, automating the certified payroll reports, great. But keep in mind the way that it's going to help, the operations side of the company. This is a dashboard in Foundation. This is a job cost dashboard. We have quick access to financials, cash management. There's change orders, and again, it's all security driven. But if I drill down into a project, and this is just giving us a quick snapshot, estimated profit on the job, actual profit, anything blue we can click on. Anybody that does migrate to our system, we do import all their raw data, jobs, vendors, customers, employees, chart of accounts, things can be cleaned up. But if I hop into a project, and right here is a quick snapshot of the job. Here's our profit. Here's our contract summary with change orders split out, which we can obviously track in the system. This says revised contract, so that's including any approved change orders. You could track pending, rejected, committed costs. So at the bottom, we're getting a snapshot of any purchase orders or subcontracts that we've entered in the system. Now we can create those documents out of the system, right? I can issue a purchase order or subcontract, but in an easy sense, I can also run job reports. And like in this example, I can see there's about $81,000 in outstanding committed costs that I just haven't been billed yet. But this job, we have around $200,000 in cost. If I click the detail, this is going to show the breakdown of those costs, right? Now, again, I'm using cost codes. So it's going to show me here, estimated and actual for, say demolition, site prep, excavating. We work with every type of trade and you could think of. So those would be specific to the tasks that a company performs. But if I click into one of these activities, I can see that $19,000 of that specific task broken down by its portion of labor, potentially materials, maybe subcontracts, equipment, burden. So I wanted to quickly note that. So from our payroll being processed through the system, not only is it helping us with certifieds and automating the rates and all of that, we do hit job costing with the true value of the total payroll, right? So this is the gross wages, the labor, but this burden is your share of FICA, FUTA, SUTA, workers' comp, fringes, general liability insurance. We can also tack on additional overhead. There's multiple ways to do additional overhead allocation in our software. on top of the payroll burden that's already going to be allocated to your projects. And you can keep drilling down into the weeds here, right, down to that detail. But so again, with the payroll and other features, right, job costing is always one of the main areas for all of our clients, because they all are contractors that need that type of feature. Now, again, if you're not using cost codes, that's fine. You can see just grand totals of labor, burden, materials, subs, etc. There's change order control, obviously financials. There's WIP reporting, which is a really common report a lot of contractors need. Some people call it bonding, over under billing. Again, these are just standard reports built in the system. There is a report writer. It's very simple. I did training for many years. It's drop and drag. So even though we preload 40 to 50 job reports, if you do need to make something a little bit special, it's really not that challenging to do, to say the least. Retainage management, right? Hold retainage, release retainage. Again, very simple, just a standard function within the core program. Now, again, some other subtle features that I'm going to touch on for just a minute. Progress billings. A lot of companies knew if you just do basic contract billings, that's fine. But I thought, I'll pop up maybe a schedule of values or an AIA, right? Now, this could be 100 line items or whatnot, but I'm going to throw in a certain percentage on each row, which I'm making up. Now, we do have project management tools where maybe like an operations person, a PM or something like that, can load those percentages actually from outside the accounting environment here, and feeds in where they would just be sitting here waiting for somebody in accounting to review. As you see, I'm just manually entering these values right now. I'm going to hold retainage. I have that set at 10%, which is pretty typical. But yeah, we can create the standard, AIA, G702, G703. Scroll down a little bit there. Now, again, if somebody has different formats, different, basic contract billings, T&M invoices, great. This is just one sample I'm bringing up because a lot of people utilize that tool. And obviously, as we commit this to the system, it's going to roll over to the next application and, track accordingly. Corrections are surprisingly simple within the system. If I have to roll back on an AIA, I can do that essentially with one button press. Now, you're not losing some key, just basic accounting features. There's financials, obviously. There's journal entries, bank reconciliation, check registers. So again, there's a lot of other content here. Now, I did, which hopefully you'll show fine for a second. I'm going to pull up. We talked about the time entry and just making certified payroll more efficient, right? In that process, maybe utilizing the mobile application would be, part of that efficiency, right? So again, if somebody's using a third-party mobile product, that's a-okay. That's fine. We can import from other solutions, but WorkMax at the bottom there in green is our mobile app. So the employee out in the field, whether it's an individual laborer or a foreman, because some people have like a foreman key time in for others, but if it's an individual person, for example, I can clock in and out, or just hit create timesheet to enter time. There's other options. You can do custom forms, injury reports, toolbox talks, change requests, but I'm gonna hit clock in, and we'll do that now. So you get me live twice. So now this is face recognition. It'll do like a biometric to make sure that it is the actual employee, so there's no like friend of theirs punching their time in. Now for me, it popped the job in closest to me physically from a GPS standpoint, so I can leave it if that's accurate. If I do need to change it, maybe I'm right next door to another job too. I can pick a job. Now, that's all I really have to do. Pick a job, clock in. I'm using cost code, so I have to say, what was I doing? Maybe I was doing site work or something, right? So I clocked in. My time's captured, at least starting to capture, right? Now, the system, again, it can generate overtime. Those rules can be in play. Now, if I was going to switch to another task, I could just hit clock in again and switch to another job or switch to another cost code. I wouldn't necessarily have to clock out and then clock back in if I'm just moving to another job or task, okay? Now, there is the option, again, just do a manual timesheet where it says create timesheet. Maybe a foreman's going to just key in time for a group or a crew. So there is that mass entry available. I'm just going to go ahead and clock out. Now, based on setup, I could just hit clock out, just be done. I have a disclaimer as a sample saying, I certify I've worked these hours, I'm injury free, great. And I also have a signature, which some areas actually do require that. I think California requires signatures, at least I've always heard that. And we have a lot of California users. So we've got clients in literally every state. But so now I'm clocked out. Now there's review processes, right? So there is multiple layers of approval available, but that time is essentially going to get pushed right into our payroll module for a final review. and I've already maybe bounced to another person or two for an initial review. And again, it would also show you were they actually at that job site from a geographic standpoint. You can have a grid, right? And you could also then identify was it actually them, right? So their face, right? So it would tell you if it wasn't the actual person that did that time at that stage. You can enter equipment in the field. You can enter quantities in the mobile app, take pictures, notes. So there's a lot more there, just the same as there's a lot more in the core application. All right, so apologize for the initial screen not moving. Let me check through some questions. If I don't get to some of these right now, I will absolutely be able to talk about these later with people and just reach out individually. So let me go through here. I'm not seeing them all. All right. Most of these initially were just saying, hey, I can't see it. Yeah, so I see somebody asking some questions with like LCP Tracker, which again, obviously we did touch on that. That probably popped up earlier on. Let's see, sharing questions. Here we go. All right. Yeah, budgets for jobs. So you can absolutely. So on a project, and this is done one of two ways typically for a budget on a job. So you either manually enter it or you import it. So on a job record, I mean, I could just come in and say, hey, contract amount, X amount of dollars, right? Just key that in, which whatever it would be. That's a small, silly number. I know I threw in there. Well, who knows? Could be a small job. But so there's my estimate, right? Now, this is me manually doing it, of course. So I would say, well, what's that $80,000? And I would go to this budget screen and I'd break that $80,000 down by any, labor, material, subs, et cetera. Now, if I'm doing that by cost code, then I would break that down individually by those individual components, right? So I can add cost codes manually. These are my pretend list, whether somebody has their own custom ones or the industry like CSI codes. But we can just, if I said, oh yeah, we need to do concrete, we need to do excavating, whatever, I just add them over to the right. So again, the ones that I budgeted, those are the ones I can use doing any day-to-day entry, payroll or otherwise. The one that's that goldish color, that means that there's history already on it, so I can't like remove it, just as an FYI. But again, we can import. So we have an import tool where I can pull from third-party estimating systems, Excel, as well. So you can either manually enter it or we can pull those in. So that way, obviously, we kick things off, the jobs there. We've got the estimate broken down to the detail that you're looking to track your jobs, whether it's cost code detail or just cost types like labor, material, subs. There is the ability to do basic estimates in our system, small quotes, but there are trade specific estimating systems that we do integrate with, if not manually entering it or importing even from Excel. Okay. Yeah, so one of the questions, and I may have touched on it before the question came in, but there is form and entry for the week. So we do have a number of options for form and entry, but typically a lot of the mobile applications are more geared for daily entry. You could have a form and do it at the end of the week, but you're essentially seeing a day, and it's like, who worked on this job today for how many hours or jobs. You can distribute that. But typically, most of the mobile applications, including ours, it's daily entry. I could do it at the end of the week. Absolutely, just day by day. Monday, here's who worked. Tuesday, here's who worked on what jobs. Wednesday, so that's absolutely fine. You're just entering one entry per day. Okay. Now we do have another option for like a grid entry, which we offer. Which that as a let's see if I can pull up another quick screen on my other monitor and pull it over. So we do have an option for more formal, like a grid. Okay. Now what we mean by, well, it is that it's a grid. So I'm going to log into our admin area of our WorkMax tool, and this offers another option that I can show through this environment. So this time editor, this is any time that was pushed from the mobile app, right? So I can see everybody. Was it actually them? If my face capture was showing red here, that would mean it wasn't actually me that put my time in, right, when I clocked in and out. If the GPS coordinate was red, that would mean I wasn't really at the job site. And so I could click on those and go down below and see where I was on a GPS perspective, see who was clocked in if it wasn't really me. So it always takes the best photos. But there is a timesheet that we can do more of a mass entry on. So again, I can do this through a mobile app where I'm a foreman, click the people that I'm entering. This one allows this more grid option, right? So this is a common option for like, utility contractors, civil, anytime there's like if I'm doing a group entry for a crew or a job and I'm using cost codes, because as you see, I can see the budgeted cost codes on the job. And as I scroll down, I can say how many hours did this employee work doing this task or this task. Go to the next person, what task or tasks did they work on for how many hours, right? Just doing a mass entry by day, by person, and also potentially entering production quantities and equipment too. So yes, there is the ability to do foreman entry very well. It just comes down to, usually it's by day. It's kind of scrolling through here. Yeah, I think the majority or all of these have been answered. And again, there will be a recording sent out to everybody later. Obviously, any questions that I can help with, feel free obviously to reach out to me directly if that's ever helpful. We do really soft demonstrations, not pushy. Usually it could be a 45-minute overview, they can be an hour and a half. But it's a soft approach. It's just a good way to see if it's a fit, go through questions. So yeah, reach out to us, visit us online, foundationsoft.com, obviously, and there's options to request a live demonstration. Foundation Software on YouTube has great content there to see with additional overviews. But I appreciate everybody attending. Sorry about the initial screen not moving, and thanks so much, and have a good day.